Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
This is Mr. Chris Claremont, a legend.
Melanie goes,
Tired.
Hey, all you mentees, Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today for your advanced look at the Ghost Rider 2099 Omnibus from Marvel Comics. So let's go ahead and take a look at this together. Before going any further, a big thank you to David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us an advanced copy of this omnibus. This omnibus is due out in the direct market and book market on October 22nd or 23rd, depending on where you get your books. Now, what we're looking at here is the standard edition cover. Boy, I said that pretty funny. Standard edition cover. They seem to have been doing these with all the standard edition covers. The cover to issue number 1 that had the chromium look to it around the frame. It is in chromium, although if you hold it up next to the light, yeah, you can kind of... No, you can't. When I was getting this out of the plastic, I got super excited because underneath the plastic, it looked like it was chromium, but it is not. It's just like the Spidey 2099. It's like the X-Men 2099. And I'm sure it will be like the Doom Fantastic Four 2099. But this is the cover, the standard edition cover. I said that again. Standard, what the heck? Standard edition cover by Chris Bachalo. The direct market cover, that is the direct market cover by Chris Sprouse. And that direct market cover is only available at places like cheapgraphicnovels.com, waltzcomicshop.com, bdcosmos.com, your local comic book store, dyingbreedcollectors.com, comicsbugle.com, readcomics.com, organicpricebooks.com, talesofwonder.com, instocktrades.com, DCBS, and places like that. And yes, there is a difference in the spine image, but everything else under the dust jacket is the same. So you have Ghost Rider 2099, Kaminski, Bachalo, Buckingham, Hotz, and Wood, the Marvel logo. And on the spine, Marvel Omnibus, Ghost Rider 2099, Kaminski, Bachalo, Buckingham, Hotz, and Wood, and that image right there. And then the back here, Vengeance Upgraded. And the covers of the stories collected in here, the ISBN, the book retailing for $100. Underneath the dust jacket, you have this badass in-your-face art by Chris Bachalo. And this is from issue number 1, but it is the art on board, and it is spread out through the front, the backboard, and that spine. Now, we're going to crack this book open, talk a little bit about the stories found in here, and show off the artwork, and then look at the extras, and of course, the build of this book. But before I do, the big question that I'm going to get, let's put this back on. Where does this fit in the shelf? Like, where are you going to put it when you put it in your shelf? Are you going to put it with the other Ghost Rider Omnis that you own? There's not that many, but yeah, would you put it there? Or do you have a shelf basically just for the 2099 universe? Regardless, I would love to know where you're putting it on your shelf. Now I gotta take the dust jacket back off. Now let's go ahead and crack this book open. Alright, let's go ahead and crack this omnibus open. Black end sheets there, and your title page, Ghost Rider 2099. Ghost Rider 2099, here are the credits. Len Kaminski is the sole writer of the series. Pencils by Chris Bachalo, Peter Gross, Mark Buckingham, Kyle Hotz, Graham Higgins, Ashley Wood, and Jim Daly. Really, there are 3 eras of this particular book. You're looking at the Chris Bachalo and Mark Buckingham era, and then the Kyle Hotz era, and then the Ashley Wood era. Your inkers over here, Mark Buckingham and Kev Sutherland, just to name a few. Your colorist, Christy Sheely, Heroic Age, Malibu, Wolfpack, and Food Hammer. It's interesting. I remember all of them except for the Food Hammer. I don't remember that colorist. And then your lettering over here, Richard Starkings and John Rochelle and Dave Sharp. Letterers at the time, of course, and then your assistant editor, and the group editor. And over here is your table of contents, letting you know the issue number, when it originally came out, like you got the month and the year, and then the name of that particular story and the page where you can find the issue. And then Also, you'll notice that this goes from May of 1994 all the way to May of 1996. So really 2 years of Ghost Rider 2099. And then a little bit of Manifest Destiny that came out in 1998. So this does collect Ghost Rider 2099, 1 through 25, and material from Manifest Destiny number 1. The book has 632 pages, and it retails for $100. All right, Ghost Rider 2099, let's start talking about it. So, I love this, by the way. Again, the chromium cover that it had was so awesome. And I was really excited to read this. For a couple of reasons, and number one is that I really like Len Kaminski's run on Iron Man, and I had forgotten that he wrote this series. And this series was also during the time when I was in high school, as it was coming out. I was super excited for it. I was excited for all those chromium cover number 1 issues, and I only got like the first 4 issues, and then I left the book because I couldn't afford everything back then. And I was so happy to see that Chris Bachalo went on to do, of course, the Generation X. But he was doing this, and then we got other artwork in here by other greats. So I hadn't read anything past those first 4 or 5 issues in here. This is the first time I got to read it. And man, this is one crazy and one hell of a ride type of trip. All right, so we start off with Ghost Rider chasing down some of these villains in Transverse City. So actually at the very beginning, it kind of tells you where Transverse City is. It's supposed to be like what used to be Detroit and Chicago, and again set in the year 2099. And Ghost Rider, this Ghost Rider of this era, is chasing down some thugs that are guilty of killing somebody very close to Ghost Rider, and he's looking for a name, and he wants to know who exactly sent this group of people to kill the Hot Wire Martyrs. And then we get a little bit of a flashback, and this is when you get to find out who Ghost Rider is. So there's this hacker in this future. His name is Zero, but his real name is Kenshiro Cochrane. And what ended up happening is that he stole data from this corporation. It's called the Demonics, with an X at the end, Corporation. And once he stole this data, Demonic sent out these group of thugs to go after these kids right here, these hackers that are stealing information, and they killed some of them, and they're going after him. Now, he got infected with this poison arrow. It's now going through his body, and he knows he's dying. He doesn't have that much time. And you get to see his internal monologue here, like the way that he's thinking. Walter White right there making a cameo long before Breaking Bad. But I do love the fact that this is written in 94, but way ahead of its time, really. So what he does is he knows he's dying. He makes a call to this young lady, Kylie, who's his girlfriend, and he tells her, to save this conversation. So what he ends up doing is he knows he's going to die. He's going to get killed by these group of people that were hired to kill him. He stops at this, what looks to be a phone booth. Keep in mind, it's also before the Matrix, and he uploads his conscience to the cyberverse. Not the internet, really, because not even cyberverse, it's the cyberspace. Because we really didn't know how the internet worked back then. At least I didn't. I don't know if Len Kaminski did. But this is when it gets really interesting, because he uploads his conscience into the cyberspace. And his body is left behind. He assumes that he's going to die. They're going to kill him. But now his conscience, his soul, if you will, is inside of cyberspace. So here is where he gets to meet Ghostworks. Now, it starts off as a place, Ghostworks, but then it becomes like a hive mind, and that comes to play later on in the 3rd story arc. But this is where he makes a deal with them. They see that he has a lot of guts. They see that he fights the system. So Ghostworks they pretty much ask Zero to be their avatar in the real world. So because of his rebellious attitude and because of the way that he is, they thought he would be a good avatar. So they put his conscience into this body. And this is where it becomes awesome. So he accepts. So his conscience is downloaded into this cybertech body. It's like a cybertech 101 body. And it has all these different abilities. And he becomes the Ghost Rider of 2099. And the very first thing he does is go and get revenge against the people that killed him, that killed Zero. So he's looking for a name. This is when you find out, when he goes and gets this guy right here. What is his name? Telve, I think, or something like that. That he is there to go after the people that did this to him and his friends. You can see that his arm, he can make into a chain. How awesome and badass is that? He can make it into a chainsaw. So here he... Jetter, that's his name. I don't know why I say Telve. They all have interesting names. But anyway, he gets information from Jetter, and he finds out that it is, in fact, demonics that did this to him, that went after those kids because they had stolen crucial information for them. Then you get to see a little bit of the world here. You see the way that the news is broadcast. You see this guy, Mr. Womack, that's in charge of demonics, along with somebody else that is very close to Zero, that works for the corporation. You can see how they can manipulate the media to make it seem like, you know, this is the demon, this is who the police should be after. And you get to see the way that these hackers live, like Kylie and this particular bar. You get to see Alzheimer, who's a character through here. Now there's also Werewolf, who's a really good friend of Zero. But the first few issues are all about him just pretty much fighting the police force that is coming after him because he's been framed for wreaking havoc. The first 4 issues are all drawn by Chris Bachalo with Mark Buckingham on art, on inks. By the time you get to the 5th issue, it is Mark Buckingham taking over as the artist and inker. Here's the fight between this particular creature that is, in some ways, really close to the character of Ghost Rider. So the 5th issue right here, now it's Mark Buckingham doing the breakdowns, and then Buckingham and Sutherland doing the finishes. This is really cool because this is when you start learning more about his powers. So he can transform back to the character of Zero. So in issue number 2, it's the media that actually calls him Ghost Rider. They're like, we have this new character that shows up that looks like a character from the Age of Heroes, and he goes by the name Ghost Rider. At least that's what they were calling him. But in order to get into demonics, what he does is he can change like a solid hologram of just different characters. Like he can upload and download that stuff into his body and transform into said characters. So this is when he confronts the people behind him, and he makes a really like dark and mature decision here when he finds, you know, what happened to his body. Because remember, his conscience got downloaded into this cybertech body, but the body's out there somewhere. Like his dead body's running around. Like, does he get to keep it and be like, well, I can download my conscience into that one day? I will say it did not go the way that I thought it was going to go. So the first few issues are about, you know, getting to know the character, him getting vengeance, and what his role in all this will be. There is a, confrontation with Spider-Man because he's trying to take material. Alchemix is involved. And by now, Kyle Hotz is the artist on the book. Again, keeping that dark cyberpunk type of story alive. And then we get into this era. Mark Buckingham coming in from time to time, by the way. We get into this era that is the Doctor Doom era. So, One Nation Under Doom. I love the fact that we were experimenting with covers like this back then. By the way, I didn't mention this. I should have, as I'm flipping through here, that the second issue, the cover to the second issue, that is an awesome image too. Like, that would have been a cool cover as well. Anyway, so we get the Kyle Hotz era. He's still fighting all these new characters. Like, you get to see new villains like Coda and Dyson Kellerman, who, of course, played a big part through the beginning. You see the supporting characters like Anesthesia that I mentioned. She's the one that owns the bar. Dr. Neon and who else? Seagram and Werewolf and Kylie, his girlfriend. Now, by the time you get to issue 13 and 14, the book is going to change because something happens here that happens throughout the entire 2099 universe, and that is One Nation Under Doom. I'm going to let you find out by reading the Doom book, by reading all the other 2999, or why do I keep saying 2999? It's like I'm rushing time. 2099 series, how exactly Doom became ruler of this particular year. This time he's changed Ghost Rider and he's working for him. And Ghost Rider, this comic book feels less like the Ghost Rider at the beginning, getting vengeance and becoming the cyberspace spirit of vengeance, and more like a member of Judge Dredd's team. And man, did I love this. This is probably my favorite era. The next era is pretty cool too, but this era just really spoke to me. Like I was like, oh, this is like reading Judge Dredd. It's like somebody that's manipulated into fighting for the system. We get this new character, Heartbreaker, and this is her word bubbles, like a heart. Yeah. So S.H.I.E.L.D. continues to operate over El Cypher, the Thrillsville, and then guarding the buildings and things like that. And then Ghost Rider is now battling all these other characters like Misery, Pyre. Who else is there? This is a Heartbreaker. Like, Heartbreaker must have been a really popular character because of the backup stories. And her stories told through here make up a big part of the book. And by now, Ashley Wood is the main artist on the comic. And who else is there? This is the big fight right here. Serpentine and Shambler, those kind of characters. Now, by the time you get to the third arc, this is the direct market cover right here. The third arc is where all hell breaks loose. So remember when I said that at the beginning, you know, he gets to go to Ghostworks? Well, Ghostworks really becomes a big part. It becomes those characters that were living in the Ghostworks. So Ghostworks are actual characters later on. And this is when all hell breaks loose because this is when they start invading Transverse City. And it's not just them. They bring a lot of other demons along with them. Man, Heartbreaker is like losing clothes left and right through here. And again, for the most part, it is Ashley Wood drawing these particular issues. So it did end. It wrapped up with issue 25. And that manifests... Here, I'll show you. No, I can't show you what happens in this issue. So this is the final issue. It is a double size finale. And it does wrap up the storyline of Zero, the storyline of Ghost Rider and Ghostworks and Heartbreaker and all the supporting casts. There were a couple of loose ends that need to be tied up, but that happens in the Manifest Destiny one-shot, the material in the back. And I can't show any of that because that takes place 100 years in the world of 1,000 years. I think it's 3099. So I did want to just showcase the art and the different eras through here and a little bit about the story in case you're not familiar with it. I really enjoyed the era where he was working for Doom because he was working, you know, against his will, and we introduced the character of Heartbreaker through here. I thought that era was really cool, mainly because I haven't read it before. Now, after the whole Manifest Destiny one-shot, you do get extras in the back. Like this is articles from Marvel Age, articles from 2099. And this is the only letter page that's in here. And that's basically breaking down the history of Ghost Rider and then the world of 2099. And you get pinups and original art back here, including that amazing image. Bachalo, man, just love his stuff. Ashley Wood, you know, all these guys just went on and blew up in the world of comics and internal artwork. And then this is the connecting covers here for the One Nation Under Doom storyline. And then your end sheets. And believe it or not, all this will be collected eventually because we're getting the Doom and FF 2099 end sheets. Now let's look at the binding and the build. 632 pages. And that's what the eye looks like. I will say we didn't get, you know, the chromium cover or the spine. But we do have a gold ribbon. So, yeah, that's something. This is printed at the iMac printer. And I noticed something here recently. And actually, it's been a while. You know, towards the beginning of the book, there is more bleed through. Oh, and here's a perfect example of the way the book lays over. So you get a little bit of gutter loss right there, especially between that G. You have to hold it down like this to get the whole burning down. But I was going to say, I noticed a little more bleed through towards the very, very beginning. It's almost like the pages are just a little bit thinner because by the time you get here, yeah, the pages are thicker. And I've been noticing that with a lot of the iMac printer books. I don't know. Yeah, so there's like less bleed through happening. One other thing that you probably noticed, but this is what it looks like, you know, very, very minimal bleed through by the time you get over here, and that's a white page. One of the things you probably notice are some of the artifacts that you're going to see through here because of the scans that they've used. You know, honestly, I didn't really notice that much. I just kind of thought it fit together there. But it's the same thing like you saw in the Wolverine Omnibus, like some of this. because of those dark tones they're using. It doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. And the other thing is, remember when we had the table of contents, were the page numbers? That was the other thing I noticed. There were no page numbers. And that could be because a lot of the art later on has the page just a full bleed. So there's no room to put it, maybe? Or at least I wouldn't like a number there. But here, they could put page numbers. Yeah, but they're not there. But that's it. So I guess a bookmark? That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in this particular $20.99 omnibus, don't forget to check out our sponsors. BD Cosmos, the Canadian leader in graphic novels. They have a physical storefront in Montreal, Quebec, and their website, bdcosmos.com, offers 25% off your order of over $99 or more, and free shipping everywhere in Canada for every order of $200 or more.
Their shipping care is exceptional. Your books will stay cozy through the rough Canadian weather and arrive to you in near mint condition.
After checkout, let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way, and you'll be added to the monthly $25 gift card raffle. Entries are valid for new and returning customers.
Don't be afraid to call or email them. Ask them questions. Their staff is always happy to help guide you towards the right purchase. Visit their website, bdcosmos.com, for more. BD Cosmos, with rewards and raffles taking care of customers in Canada. Eh?
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this book. Let me know in the comments down below where you are going to put it if you are buying it on your shelf. And of course, if you remember this particular era. What other $20.99 series would you like to see collected in omnibus format? And if you have any more questions, check out our Patreon and Spread Shop, amazing ways to support the channel. Everyone, stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.